can't. It's against the law. Thank you. Good afternoon. I'm happy to be here with Police Commissioner Sewell, Transit Chief Jason Wilcox, Chief Jeff Madry, and all the men and women who are part of this important initiative. We've heard it over and over throughout the winter. What are we going to do about these illegal dirt bikes that are terrorizing our entire city and communities? Stated on the campaign trail that we were going to focus on these dirt bikes and ATVs. They are not only a nuisance and an annoyance to us, but they're extremely dangerous. And we know that. We see them all the time, and we hear them all times at night. We see the large numbers that are moving throughout our street, and we want to be clear that this is not acceptable. But before I even go into the dirt bikes, I do want to just thank New Yorkers. Yesterday, we had a horrific crash. I spoke with the mayor in Columbus to extend our help to those family members. But when you see the video of New Yorkers there responding to save the individuals who were the victim of the crash, it just really emphasizes how we are just an amazing city. No matter how difficult things are, no matter how many people say New Yorkers can be rude and New Yorkers can be that or this, when it's time to help each other, we are there. And I just want to personally say thank you. We can't find them. To personally thank them, but if they're out there, we want them to know we appreciate them, and they lift up the symbol of what New York is. And that crash personifies our concern. This can't be a city where vehicle crashes are endangering the lives of innocent people. And everyone that use our roadways must understand that. That is legal motorcycles, bicyclists, car drivers, skateboarders, scooters. We have to understand the full scope of who's using our streets, and we want to focus on that by making sure that illegal vehicles are going to be removed from our street. We want to bring a level of safety from crashes of any type. And, you know, when we announced our budget, that's why we allocated $1 billion in safe street infrastructure, implementing the 24/7 speed cameras, something we fought hard for with Albany. We want to continue to expand that. We could do more speed cameras work, and we want to continue to do so. But one of the most important things is what's behind us, those illegal dirt bikes. The NYPD heard the call, and they did a Herculean task to get rid of these loud, intimidating, and dangerous and illegal dirt bikes and ATVs that are on our street. And for years, we've witnessed what happens when they go under control or we do not enforce. They continue to grow over and over again. And I'm not going to give up on my promise and commitment to rid our streets of these bikes and make all of our boroughs safe places where people can move about. And as you can see from the number of bikes here today, we are making good on that promise. 900 bikes, more than what they were able to remove last year. 88% increase because of the work of the New York City Police Department and communities. Communities have called up, shared information, and we were able to implement that information. And so today, as we stand in the shadow of the Freedom Tower, we are freeing ourselves from these destructive piece of machinery that's on our streets. And they will be crushed today, and so that they can never terrorize our city again, each and every one of them. They will be turned into scrap metal and eventually recycled. The motorbikes are destroyed rather than resold or donated in order to prevent them from returning to our streets and not allow them to be operating again. And so, again, we want to thank all those who participated and assisted in the retrieving of these dirt bikes. And so we see this every year. First day of summer, the increases go up. That's why we're using this day as a day of putting in place concrete actions to make sure that we get all of these illegal bikes and vehicles off our streets. And, of course, we need to do more. And we are going to do more. We're going to continue this pattern to rid the streets of these bikes. We have made great strides with our partners in Albany this session in securing the cameras operations and other things, but we want them to do more also. This is what I learned when we were with Congressman Espaillat up in the Bronx. There's no reason we are selling these bikes without first proof of registration, proof of insurance. Many of these bikes don't have insurance. If they strike someone, the person is left with medical costs and other out-of-pocket expenses. And so we are pushing for legislation to have the ATV dealers to ask potential buyers to show proof of insurance and vehicle registration documents before removing these vehicles onto our street. And so we're going to keep doing our part. We're happy about what we're doing today. It's sending a strong message of our consistency in this area. And really my thank to the Chief of Patrol, Chief Madry, and the Police Commissioner for ensuring that this initiative is important. Quality of life is everything. And it is our focus to deal with crime and the quality of life aspects. And these dirt bikes were a menace to the quality of life. Commissioner?
Good afternoon. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you all for being here today. Along with Mayor Adams, we're here at Erie Basin Auto Pound to send a very strong and very clear message to anyone who illegally operates an ATV, dirt bike, or other such vehicle on the streets of New York City. We will seize that bike and we will destroy it. We take this very seriously because driving these motorbikes on city streets, on sidewalks, or in parks and within housing developments is dangerous. It's reckless and it's illegal. It puts everyone at risk, other drivers, passengers, pedestrians, and not to mention the bike riders themselves. Our city will not tolerate this, and the NYPD will use every tool at our disposal to rid our neighborhoods of these hazards. It is the people living in these communities who are making the majority of complaints. They are telling us loud and clear to get these motorbikes out of our neighborhoods and keep them out. And the NYPD got the message, and that's exactly what we're doing today. Since January, the NYPD has seized over 2,000 of these vehicles citywide. As the mayor said, that's nearly over 80% more than we took by this time last year. And today we're ensuring that the bikes behind me will never return to our streets. They will never again endanger another child, another grandmother on the sidewalk, or another family simply trying to enjoy a day in the park. They will never again have a place in New York City. And that's why we have ended up here. As we've said before, traffic safety is public safety. It deserves our full and focused attention, especially since we know that every death on our roadways and every injury should be preventable. So the NYPD will continue to work closely with the Mayor's Office and the Department of Transportation and the residents of our city who demand that our streets, sidewalks, and all public areas remain safe for everyone. That's what New Yorkers deserve, and that's what their police department will deliver. Chief Madry?
Yes. Thank you, Commissioner, and thank you, Mr. Mayor, and good afternoon to the members of the media. Just really quick, just talking about some of the strategies that we'll be using this summer to make sure our quality of life is where it needs to be, safe, and to make sure our communities are a great place to live, work, and play. Patrol, we'll be working closely with the highway units. We'll be working closely with our Transportation Bureau and our Community Affairs Bureau. We want to make sure we get the message out to everybody who thinks about riding these bikes that they are illegal and they will be subject to be seized. At every patrol borough, there's an inspector in charge, and that inspector will look at the trends, will look at the patterns of these illegal bikes and ATVs. The inspector will implement strategies from our overarching strategy that are more localized and meet the needs of the community. we'll monitor 311 jobs to see where where riding is persistent. We'll use our social media. We'll use social media to monitor where meetups are and where ride-out locations are so we can address those locations. Our members understand, most importantly, that safety is paramount. So we're going to take these bikes in a strategic and a tactical way, but to make sure that everyone is safe. We'll issue summonses for any violations of the law, and the bikes may very well end up right here. These vehicles are not built for our city streets, for the motorist volume, for the pedestrian volume. They're not to be used. Last week in the 49th Precinct, the commanding officer addressed some community concerns and took 19 bikes in one day. And this is what we'll continue to do. We'll implement strategies at the local level, listening to our communities, hearing their voices, and then we're going to go out and seize these bikes. Thank you.
Before we go to crushing, we just want to talk about the police commissioner and I, with Chief Wilcox, moved to the next phase of our subway safety plan, which included looking at what was put in place in 2014 for many years of when the transit police department was in place and then becoming a bureau. We had a version of what was called single patrol. I did it as a police officer. One thing you know about me, I would not have anyone do a job that I'm not willing to do myself. We were in the system last night. We were truly impressed with the initial rollout that the Chief Wilcox and Police Commissioner Sewell did yesterday. Was the first day, and we're going to continue that. Now, what does that look like? There are certain stations that are due patrol. There's certain stations that are due patrol. They will stay due patrol. During the overnight hours, we will have police officers that are doing train patrol. You will have 2 officers on the train, but they won't be standing together. One will have the back end and walk through. One would have the front end and walk through to make sure that during the night hours, overnight hours, that they will have the protection that if there's a need for service, something that I did alone as a police officer. We are going to look at those stations where a due single patrol is suitable, and we will do that. So this is the next phase of our transit safety plan. This is a smart way of deploying our police officers. We were not deploying our police. You see it at parades. You walk down a friendly parade, the Sikh parade, you see 5 officers on one side of the street on the corner, 5 at another side of the street. This is not how you deploy your manpower. I promised this on the campaign trail. I'm living up to the promise of the chief of department, chief of patrol, the police commissioner. We're all looking, how do we better utilize our resources? Yesterday on the subway system, it was clear to passengers that stopped us, spoke with us. They said, we want to see that blue uniform. We want to see that blue uniform. We feel better, and we feel as though the police are present. Now, we learned also on the subway system, we're going to move with the MTA to put in place a massive campaign on how to be a safe passenger. Many people don't know the best place to stand during the late hours is in the conductor's position. There are zebra stripes near the ceiling on a bar that tells you where the conductor position is. We need to educate people to do that. While I was out, I saw women passengers in isolated areas standing alone. That is just unsafe. So we must play a role of educating passengers how to be partners in safety, how to be aware, how to be conscious, how to use our system in a fair and a safe way. We're going to do our job, but the partnership makes it easier. And now that we're going to see a greater deployment of our police officers, we're answering what passengers ask for to make sure we have that omnipresence, a term I use often to talk about the full presence of police officers in our system, but properly utilizing them to carry out the job we want. Deterrence, visibility, focus, interacting with the passengers, and interacting with those who use the system. Commissioner, you want to add on that?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As Mayor Adams said, we've been saying this since this administration started. New Yorkers depend on the NYPD to keep them safe in our transit system, and that's exactly what this plan aims to do. We will cover more ground by patrolling more subway cars per tour, and increased police presence leads to a safer ride for customers and MTA personnel alike. We take great pride in our public safety mission in the nation's largest subway system, and as we've stressed before, we are always looking to improve the ways we work and how we do our job to keep New Yorkers safe. In January, we outlined a subway safety plan that deployed more than 1,000 additional officers into the trains and on subway platforms system-wide. They work together with the thousands of officers who are currently assigned full-time to the Transit Bureau and are focused on the lines and stations that need them the most. These deployments provide vital coverage across the entire system, and now we are extending that coverage even further. The Transit Patrol Plan will be intelligence-driven, adaptable to shifting crime trends, and based on real-time crime conditions in the transit system. The goal is enhanced crime prevention and deterrence, not merely a response. And realizing that goal requires every available resource we have, and it demands the full partnership at every level of our criminal justice system. We at the NYPD are committed, as always, to the safety and security of everyone on our trains and in our platforms and in our city. This transit network is designed to connect us, to link the incredible diversity of our neighborhoods and all the people who travel through them. It has the powerful ability to bring us together, but only when riders are completely confident that the system is safe. And that's our job, to make it safe and keep it safe. And that's exactly what we plan to do. I'll ask Chief Jason Wilcox to come talk about our plan.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Also, I want to take this moment to thank all the members of the NYPD that work day and night to keep our subway system safe. As the Commissioner and the Mayor also pointed out, the New York City subway system is the largest in the country, and safeguarding such a sprawling system is certainly a challenge. And to do this, we must continue to deploy our resources in trains and on platforms as effectively and efficiently as possible. And now, with this effort, our officers working day and evening hours some will now conduct solo train patrols. Solo train patrol represents an additional layer, another step in one of our key objectives since the start of this year with the Subway Safety Plan, to focus on uniform train patrols, to expand our presence, increase our visibility in the subways and on the trains, to both keep people safe, but also to make them feel safe. No one knows how to patrol and navigate the subway system better than our NYPD transit officers. And as they maintain their solo patrols, we will always focus on their safety. Their safety is paramount. As the plan is laid out, the officers doing solo train patrol will stay within one district on one radio division, patrolling the lines and stations that they are the most familiar with, keeping them in close proximity to support, quick backup, and within accessible range of their supervisors. They will be close enough to stay on the same radio frequency and always be in contact with each other. These solo train patrols will not be conducted on overnight tours, when officers will continue to ride the trains and walk the platforms as a team, as the Mayor spelled out, entering a train car and moving within both right and left of the train, inspecting every train car, and then meeting back in the middle. Additionally, any other officers undergoing field training, our youngest officers, and other task force models, K-9, Subway Safety Task Force, will not be impacted by this patrol plan. As the Commissioner said, the locations are fluid and are based on current crime conditions in each command. And The district commanding officers have the flexibility to respond to the fluid nature of these trends and make adjustments and adapt. The patrol plan covers train lines that travel through every borough in the city, except for Staten Island. They represent some of the most traveled subway lines in the world. And we remain determined to keep those that ride the New York City subways safe. Thank you.
You know what? As we're going to open to questions, but it was so important when Commissioner Sewell took over. How I knew she was going to bring a level of just vision to look at a good department and allow it to become a great department. And you couldn't do it if you just continue to do the things that we did. Criminals continue to evolve. Their methods change, their actions change, and I needed someone that was willing to change and be adaptable and bring the right team together to do so. And I knew it then, and I feel even stronger now that the city is extremely fortunate to have a commissioner that is dedicated to keeping the city safe. And we're going to continue to evolve our product. Every time there's an evolution in the criminal element, we're going to keep pace with them to keep the city safe. So I thank the commissioner and her team for doing so. Open to any questions. So, Steve, how you?
First, I have two questions. First, on the dirt bikes, if I could borrow some of your terminology, this seems very much like a downstream solution here. Any upstream ideas about giving these kids a space to be able to do this, like a track or exclusive park, and something that might not lead to antagonizing between them and police officers wanting to take their bike?
Yes, and as you know, when you use the term downstream, I say intervention and prevention. Always put them together, because while we are giving people access to safe places to ride, we have an idea of looking at some of the spaces that are here in the city where you could have a safe place to ride dirt bikes or ATVs. That is one of our focus. But we have to deal with the intervention right now, unregistered bike, illegal use of it. So we're going to do both. I believe we must have intervention and prevention. I'm dead on with you. I loved riding a dirt bike when I was a child. And so I think it's crucial that we have those spaces, and we're going to look at some of the spaces out there to allow them to ride.
And secondly, on the Broadway crash, the Business Improvement District came out with a statement. We've seen the same from State Street advocates saying if this stretch of Broadway was only open to pedestrians and bicyclists, like a lot of other parts of Broadway in the city, this crash would not have happened. Are you moving towards a full pedestrianization of Broadway?
Not at this time.
Would you like to see more access like that they have in other places?
I love open streets. Edonis Rodriguez, our commissioner, is part of his plan to come forward and tell me what's the best way to do it. I have a lot of faith in Edonis, but the more open streets we have, the better it is. I love when I'm on Times Square, that extra space that we have. So he's looking at if that's one of our target areas. Are you Tina? Yes. Yes. If they make arrests? Without a doubt. You don't send your troops into battle and then don't give them the support that they need. And I think that we should listen clearly to what Chief Wilcox stated. They're operating within their district. They're going to be able to call for assistance when needed with their radios and using their cell phones. We didn't have that. Many people don't know, but as a transit police officer back then, your radios rarely worked. And how you got help, you would throw your stick out the train car and made a unique sound. And if an officer happened to be at the station, he knew that was a call for service. Or you will have a whistle blown by the conductor. And so we're not putting the officers in the harm's way that I believe many of us were. We're going to use technology. We're going to make sure that this is smartly done to get the omnipresence we want, but at the same time, make sure the officers can do their job. But 100%, we're going to make sure the officers receive the support they deserve, and I made that clear over and over again. No, and it's not, no, people should not be in an isolated area. I happen to have seen a few women who were in isolated areas. And some of the crimes that we witnessed, there was a horrific one of a young model. She was by herself at the end of the platform where the person choked her, brutally assaulted her. She was alone. No one was there to hear her cries. No one was there to help her. When I ride the subway station system, I look for the zebra stripes. I get in the conductor's car or the motorman's car. So what I'm asking all passengers to do are the things that I learned as being a passenger and a former transit police officer, to how do you ride safely. We all should be able to ride safely. But I say this over and over again, don't live life the way it ought to be. Live it the way it is until we get it to where it ought to be. Right now, you ought not to be in an unsafe place in the system. We have panic buttons that's right near the safe spaces. We want to educate people about those panic buttons. We want to educate them where the zebra stripes are located, where during late hours it's best to stand. We want to give people information so they can make the right choices. Now, you have the freedom to do whatever you want on the system within the laws. If you want to stand at the end of the platform, you have the right to do so. We are going to give you our professional opinion how to have a safe ride. Yes, there's certain things I want to do with the disciplinary process. Number one, we need to shorten the time. It just takes too long. It takes too long for the officers who are found innocent, and it takes too long for those who are not suitable to be police officers to stay in the department too long. And it just erodes your trust in the system. So our goal is to make sure we shorten the period of time, to make sure that we have the right penalties handed down for those who have minor infractions or serious infractions, and that is our goal to do so. The police commissioner gave me a flow chart of the system. We're going through it to find out where the bottleneck is located so we can expedite these cases at a more rapid pace. How are you, Katie? Well, first of all, you just gave some great ideas. We are going to go back and see the feasibility of getting them radios. I like the idea of allowing them to have ATVs or some way to get to a stretch of a beach. I think that's a brilliant idea. And I love the idea of coordination with the FDNY. And so I'm going to have my team. You just gave Fabian more work to do. You know, I'm going to have my team look at those three great ideas that you gave us as crucial. Now, with that said, there's a national lifeguard shortage. It's a national shortage. I would love to go to the Jersey Shore and steal their lifeguards, but they have a shortage. I would like to go to Miami and tell Suarez I'm taking his lifeguards, but he has a shortage. So there's a national shortage. We are looking at how do we fill that shortage. And there we're looking at some of the rules that require a person to teach lessons to be, if there's teaching in city sites, that they must have a license. They must have a lifeguard license. We're trying to see if we can rethink some of these rules to address these shortages. Because, you know, it breaks all our hearts to see a young person that dies merely because they want to use the beach. So our goal is to find a safe way to ensure that we can open as many beaches as possible and have as many lifeguards as possible.
And just one follow. I know, as pointed out in your investigation, there's really the issue with the lifeguard union that they apparently all do document coordination and they have line up issues. Would you speak to Lacey 37 leadership to try to get a hold of that and see why the union has issues with documenting?
I read that story. I didn't see that part of the story that they were blocking the coordination. Now, if they're blocking the coordination because of a union issue, then we have to take that to the bargaining table. If they're blocking it because someone in City Hall historically made a policy, I'm going to tell you right now that policy is going to end very quickly. That is not going to happen. Union, we would negotiate at the bargaining table. Policy, I don't make the law, I make policy. And trust me, I'm going to find out. I'm going to speak to our legal team. I brought the article to their attention, and I'm going to speak to our legal team to find out, is there some way that they are stopping the coordination? That is not going to happen if it's within my powers. You just had a lot of great ideas today. You know that?
We're going to take a couple more before we move on. Chief Butts?
You know, you're about to get in trouble because you keep passing over Marsha. Okay. Well, you want to do the best you can to alleviate these accidents, and the goal is to eradicate them. Again, Commissioner Ydanis Rodriguez is looking at, we're doing a substantial number of streets redesign. We'll find out if that is on his redesign. Our goal is to make sure that we are safe as possible. Part of this, as we do an analysis of the issues we're facing, a lot of this is dealing with speeding, reckless drivers. It's amazing how many fatalities are taking place on our highways right now. And that's why we look at the potentiality of even putting speed cameras on highways. When I looked at the video yesterday, I was disappointed to see the bicyclist went through the red light. That was troubling. So it's human error, human recklessness, and street redesign. That's the combination, and that is why we are redesigning streets, and that's one of the things that Ydanis Rodriguez, our commissioner, is doing.
CBS.
Without a doubt, and we have to get it right. I'm never going to allow expediency to get in the way of accuracy. We have to get it right. We have some real innovative ways up our sleeve that we're going to be rolling out, but we have to get it right. The commissioner is not going to let me just bring on anything. We're going to test things. We are open to the innovation, but the innovation must reach up to our expectation on what it could produce. We're excited. There's some good stuff out there, but we got to make sure it's right. Yeah, there's a couple of things that we like, but if I do that, you guys are going to write a story, and so I just want to avoid the story. Kate is just waiting for me to say something so she can write a story. We got to get it right, Marsha. There's a couple of stations that, from my days of policing, would do patrol. 34th Street, huge station. Fulton, Broadway and Nassau on the A, 23, JM, 405, huge station. When you look at 14th Street, those are like dual patrol. Now, we have seen an evolution from dual patrol to quadruple patrol. And, having 6, 7 officers doing patrol together, nope. So we understand Chief Wilcox and his team. They fully understand what stations are required dual patrol. Now, remember, transit has had dual patrol all the way up to 2014. Radios didn't work. Terrible infrastructure. These men and women did the job. They did it well. And so this is not, I wish I could say this is a new invention for me, but it's not. It is going back to utilizing our resources that I keep saying over and over again, and the commissioner has been clear on. We have to utilize our resources better than we have, and she's been rolling that out. From parades, you're going to impress on how many millions of dollars we're going to save on parade details. She's finding a better way to deploy our police personnel. NJ, how are you?
Can you just take a moment, you or one of your executives, to elaborate on how these bikes are being confiscated, how they're being seized? Because we can't chase them in the streets, obviously.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. We do not want our officers to chase them. We don't want to create a bigger problem by chasing them. So we just have to use different strategies. And then I can't let you know every one of them. I have to keep a few secrets. But, you know, and one thing I do ask, and I failed to mention, to our neighbors, if you see these illegal bikes parked on city streets, housing and housing developments in the hallways, please call us and we'll remove them. But like I said, we have ways of coming up in a stealthy manner and taking the vehicles, again, without chasing them, doing it in a way where everybody is safe. That motorist has to walk away safe. The cops have to be safe. And we address it like that. So we have a lot of ways. We took 19 of them last week in the Bronx very successfully. Again, I can't let all the secrets out. But like I said, our officers, it takes a lot of patience. Again, we can't chase it. We have to wait till they're stationary. We have to wait till they're not moving. You know, sometimes they get off the bike to take a break, to buy soda, to go get gas, things like that. We have to be smart and very patient, and it works.
All right, guys, this will be our last question. Vato, Daily News.
That's from the past. Listen, you know, not only is Pat Lynch the union president, Pat Lynch and I have always had a great relationship throughout the almost 30 years that I have known him. He's going to speak on behalf of his members, and we're going to make sure we update him on exactly what we're doing, because he has to represent his members. And if you were to just throw out there, hey, they're going to solo patrol, without seeing the thoroughness from Chief Wilcox, then your gut automatically, those of us know that every station should not be solo patrol. So we're going to show how we're going to do this correctly, to go back to the days when Pat was on patrol. He knew transit police, how it was done. We look state troopers. You know, we talk about solo patrol. State troopers have solo patrol. So it's about doing it in a safe way. And you're not endangering police officers, and you're not going to put our passengers in a place that we're not deploying our police properly. So Pat was updated on what we were going to do. We didn't want to surprise him. We updated him on what we were going to do. He's going to speak on behalf of his members. I'm going to ensure that we protect our police officers and protect our passengers together. Yes, yes, yes. You know, it's about being smarter in your approach. I was on a crowded D train one day, crowded. I don't know if it was a holiday or what, and this woman got into a dispute with someone that was dating her next boyfriend, and she tried to stab him on the train. And, you know, we were in between stations. I had to wrestle with her to get the knife from her. Passengers helped to get the police. The motorman did a signal that we do when a police officer is in trouble, if there's an emergency. And there were times, 4th of July, coming from, I was in District 34. 4th of July coming from, I did 8 at night to 6 a.m. in the morning. Coming from Coney Island during late at night, riding the D train packed. Everybody laugh about when I talk about barbecuing on trains. Somebody was on the train actually barbecued. And, after you've had a lot of beer muscles, someone telling you have to put out the barbecue, it wasn't a very nice interaction. And so there's been moments, and there's a whole lot of moments of when you are alone, you become smarter. You don't want to take actions, at different times. You're strategic. And riding within the district is a important additive that Chief Wilcox stated. We went from Coney Island to West 4th Street. We went through several districts. And so we are smarter. We learned from those errors, and now we're doing it in a smarter way.